We're going to make the famous recipe for walnut tart. I was slipping into my Old English. And if there are any Old English scholars out there, perhaps you'll set my pronunciation straight. Anyway, walnut tart, a very cool cousin of pecan pie. Now, the basis for this tart is a caramel, a really nice caramel. Fans of the minimalist videos, and I know there are at least 5 or 6 of you out there, will remember that we've done caramels once or twice before in this series. To make peanut brittle, we made caramel. But in any case, caramels are all pretty much the same. You start with sugar, a little bit of water for safeguard, medium heat, and you cook until the sugar bubbles up, liquefies, bubbles up, and starts to turn golden. This is going to take a few minutes. Be patient. So 5 or 10 minutes, the sugar's liquefied. You see the bubbles are getting bigger. And you might not be able to see this yet. I can here. Starting to change color. You want to let this get a little bit golden, not brown. Some caramels you want quite dark, but just a little bit of color. Ivory, I'd say. Beige. Just about there. And then you add, carefully because it's going to spatter, some cream and some butter. And you whisk that until it's smooth. If the caramel fails, and it does, if the sugar clumps up, the easiest thing to do is to start again. But if you keep the heat fairly low, a little bit of water in there at the beginning, this is a great dessert, but it's very sweet. A lot of sugar, cream, butter, very rich. I like to cut it with a fair amount of salt. A big pinch here. Put in your walnuts. Get them coated with the caramel. We'll let that cool for a minute or so while I talk about the crust. This is a pre-baked pie crust. It's pretty heavy in butter, about equal parts butter and flour. If you can find a pre-made crust that's made with butter, I'm sure that's fine, but it's not that difficult to make by yourself, and food processor does a great job of making that dough. You roll it out into the pan, trim the edges. You can do a little fancy fluting if you want to. Looks fine. And then you bake it with weight on top for about 12 minutes or until you get this nice shade of golden brown. There will be a recipe for this on the website. Okay, so when this cools slightly, the walnuts are beautifully coated. The whole thing gets piled into the crust. Even it out a bit. So once that's in the crust, in the shell, do we bake it? No, we refrigerate it. And it will get firm and caramelly and beautiful. Takes a couple hours. Oh well, looky here. You know how magicians sometimes reveal their tricks? This is called revealing the swap. Okay, a couple hours later, it'll look like that. Now, I swear this serves 12 because it's so rich and so dense that you want a piece about that big. Well, you might want a bigger piece, but I'm telling you, stuff is intense. A little coarse salt. This happens to be fleur de sel, but I don't think we need to worry about that. And you don't need the salt. You can put whipped cream or ice cream, whatever you want on here, but I'm telling you, it's sweet, and I like that contrast. Stuff is really great. In fact, I think it may be the highest and best use ever of walnut.